The numbers are just escalating an hour after hour. So the situation is so bad on the ground. We are all on the ground assessing the damage to support relief operations and engage directly with affected families, as we are now from 2 centers where we are interacting with our people who are currently kept in those centers. We reiterate our deepest condolences to the bereaved families and call on residents to remain vigilant and follow guidance from the local disaster management teams.
Oh God, look at the river. It's gone. The bridge is gone. Everyone, get to the roof. It began with the rains that simply refused to stop. For weeks, the skies over southern Africa have opened up, unleashing a deluge not seen in decades. What started as seasonal summer rainfall has spiraled into a humanitarian catastrophe of staggering proportions. Today, the sun struggles to pierce through the heavy gray clouds, but below, the devastation is clear.
Okay. Just forget to put it back.
However, the municipality says this should not be, the community should not be here because it's a place that is...
This is a catastrophe that I do believe could never have been foreseen, because as I see it, much as the people are slightly closer to the river, but they are quite a distance from the river. Where we are standing now is almost like 500 to 600 meters from the actual river. So for the river to have burst its banks in the way that it did is quite catastrophic, and it bears testimony to the challenge of climate change that we are now experiencing.
The disaster was also worsened by the region's geography. Many victims of this week's floods were living on floodplains near rivers.
Areas of the world where there are repeated disasters, like we have in our own country, KZN and the Eastern Cape are always affected by various types of disasters. In the summer, it's huge downpours of rain causing floods that kill and destroy infrastructure. And now here in the Eastern Cape as well, in addition to the disasters they suffer in summer, now in winter, it's not only snow and cold, it's also floods that are now descending on the people of the Eastern Cape.
Meanwhile, the government response to the disaster has drawn criticism. The provincial premier said that the rescue effort was paralyzed in the first few hours of the floods because of a lack of resources. With searches still ongoing, authorities said that they expected more bodies to be found.
From the Limpopo province in South Africa to the central swamplands of Mozambique and the highlands of Zimbabwe, a region is drowning. As of this morning, the death toll has climbed past 200, with hundreds of thousands more displaced, their lives unmoored by the rampaging floodwaters. This is not just a weather event, it is a regional crisis that has turned villages into islands and roads into rivers.
Njengoba sihleli lana silindele ukuthi kuphumelwe yamzimba kubhekwe nowengane lo ngakatholakala lokho sikulindelayo.
Thus, floods in South Africa leaves residents in need of clean water.
As you can see, how we suffering. Yeah, to get water. We're coming from Amandle to fetch water.
The infrastructure, the very veins of these nations, has been severed. In Zimbabwe, vital bridges that connected rural communities to hospitals and markets have collapsed under the sheer force of the current, leaving thousands cut off from aid. In Mozambique, the situation is even more dire. Over 70,000 hectares of farmland, crops that were meant to feed families through the coming winter, are now submerged under muddy brown water. The loss is total. In South Africa's iconic Kruger National Park, usually a haven for wildlife, the rivers burst their banks, forcing the evacuation of hundreds of tourists and staff by helicopter. A surreal scene of man and nature, both fleeing the same unstoppable force.
That we see in just a part of a village, like where we took the president, 36 households being swept away. And when you look at the entire Mbaula village, 85 houses have been swept away, which affected more than 150 individuals. We can, for now, indicate to you that in terms of the infrastructure damage, we've been hard hit, especially on the roads, where more than 438 as of this afternoon from the reports that we received after assessing roads that have been affected.
Emergency services are fighting a war on multiple fronts. But the battlefield is shifting beneath their feet. In South Africa, the National Defense Force has deployed helicopters to pluck families from rooftops and trees in Mpumalanga and Limpopo. Scenes reminiscent of the worst disasters in the continent's history. The challenges are immense. Relentless downpours have grounded aircraft and turned dirt roads into impassable quagmires. Rescue boats struggle against debris-laden currents that can crush a hull in seconds. First responders speak of the heartbreak of hearing cries for help in the darkness, unable to reach the victims before the waters rose too high. The economic and social shockwaves of this disaster will be felt for years. In Mozambique, already battling the specter of cholera, the contaminated floodwaters threaten to unleash a secondary epidemic. The destruction of the maize harvest means that food insecurity, already a fragile issue, will likely deepen into famine for the most vulnerable.
This gives you an idea of just how powerful those floodwaters were. When they came through this town, they just took out everything in its path. Look up on the hillside here. This whole area used to be covered in the houses, but a massive mudslide just took out everything in its path, including cars, people's homes. That pile of debris, it's actually a pile of people's homes. We've seen things like furniture, couches mixed in with the cars. Right now, you can see search and rescue crews. They're standing on top of the debris. We've heard them using chainsaws. You can hear a bit right now to actually cut through this mess of metal and rubble. It's been more than a week since these floods hit, but people are not giving up because people here also still have to survive day to day. And if you look around, you can see things like exposed live wires, vital infrastructure that's been torn up. The only way people here in this town can even get drinking water is if they carry it in themselves in buckets. There was one local leader here told us it's not just the floods that are dangerous, it's the aftermath as well.
Families who have spent generations building their homes have watched them be wiped from the face of the earth, as President Ramaphosa grimly noted during his tour of the devastation. These are not just houses. They are the accumulated wealth and memories of entire communities, washed away in an afternoon.
When I came through, there was hailstones. This is my mother's room, so it also affected. And it's not the first time that we encounter such floods, because before it was 2021, if I remember so well. It happened as well. So the water was flooding. It gets into the rooms. So the whole drop was damaged as well. The TVs as well. If you could see here, this is the line where you could see that how bad the water was. If you could see outside, you see our my granny's house isn't, it's situated in the corner. So when it rains, like it's heavy raining, the water that comes from the other street and the water that comes to the other street, we don't have big drainage. So it's only small ones. It's only the big one here. So all the water that comes in, so you see if it has pressure, it comes to these 4 houses. So that's why we encounter such floods. So we need, so that maybe they can assist with drainage as well, maybe to build bigger ones, so that if it has a heavy rain, then we know that the water just go to the drainage, it doesn't come to our house.
Last night I was not in the house, but apparently I was in the work function. So when I come, I saw some, what do you call? The storms outside. So it was huge. It even blocked the gate. Even you can see for yourself, the mirrors are down. The cars are broken. The furnitures are damaged. In my main house, we are 8, but all of us were safe, not affected at all. We're living with an old lady in the house.
How is she doing? How did she take this?
She's not coping at all. She's not coping. Like it's a trauma to her.
Because now this rain.
Yet, amidst the mud and the ruin, there is resilience. Neighbors are sharing what little food they saved. Strangers are forming human chains to pull the elderly to higher ground. The people of Southern Africa are no strangers to hardship, but they are currently facing a test of endurance that demands the world's attention. As the rains continue to fall and the rivers swell, the region waits, prays, and survives, hoping that the waters will soon recede, allowing the long, painful work of rebuilding to begin.